Hi, I'm Darci.
And I'm Kelly. And thanks for joining us for
And Another Thing,
where we talk about current events,
pop culture,
things we love,
things we don't,
all slathered in gobs of laughter.
and all the creepy feels.
So grab a drink, sit back, and join us for
And Another Thing, Halloween edition.
4.0.
1, 2, 3, 4.
A very spooky hello, Thingies.
Greetings,
This is one of our favorite times of year.
Yes.
The spooky season.
Yes.
And the reason we titled this 4.0 is we realized this is our fourth and Another Thing Halloween show.
It certainly is.
If you haven't checked us out on YouTube, we got 4 more years of this.
Super fun. In fact, I was trying to figure out what am I going to talk about with Halloween stuff today, and I really had to dig because I felt like we've
covered a lot of it. We did traditions, we've done.
Yeah.
So go back and check out some of our old ones on YouTube, and we've got exciting stuff in store. We're going to start doing a lot of more stuff. So.
Yes, let's go ahead and tell them.
Okay.
We are also expanding into a podcast.
Yes, we are.
Yes.
Yes.
We're going to start it in January. We're not sure of the exact date yet. Forgot
Right.
to pick that out. But and we have a little intern, Elf, who is helping us get that up and running.
Who is amazing.
Yes, and he's going to be our first guest.
Exactly. He's on my list, funny enough, as the first guest. We made lists of guests we want to have on in the future, and he was number 1 on my list.
Yes. If you know anybody famous who's willing to do a no-name podcast and web series, let us know.
Or even just, like funky famous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's even more
We're
fun.
totally D-list.
Yeah.
We're totally cool with Z-list. It's totally fine.
So or if you yourself are like, hey, I want to come on there and I do XYZ, by all means contact us.
By all means.
And follow us on the Instagrams and the Facebook. Well, if you're watching this, you're already following us on the Facebooks.
Yeah, or the YouTube. We're now where we're everywhere. We're trying to get everywhere. So what'll happen in January is every other week we'll continue to do our filmed web series, and then we'll also
fill in with
podcasts. Yeah.
So it's very exciting, and thank you for all of you who have come this far on our journey. So to start off, we're going to start off with a couple of sad things that we've got to talk about at the top of the show. The horrible thing that happened on the set of Rust. For those of you who live under a rock and don't live in Hollywood where it's all the buzz everywhere, the director of photography and the director both got shot by Alec Baldwin accidentally.
Accidentally, yes.
There was a live round in the prop gun. How that happened on a film set, it should never have happened. There's a lot of things about the safety. There was a lot of issues around the safety. It's a low budget film. Anyway, I'm not here to, maybe we'll do another show where I damn the producers, but today is not that day.
Yeah.
If I were Alec Baldwin, I don't know how I would ever get over something like this.
I saw some pictures
of him just
right
crying.
after and bent over and just, I can't imagine. And you know what, by the way, if you are part of the hashtag Alec for prison trend thing that's trending right now on Twitter, shame on you. Like, shame on you. There's no way. There's no way. And it's all about his personal gun views. He's anti-gun. Obviously he's a Democrat and he's not quite about that. But the thing is, nobody would purposefully
and he was one of the producers.
Yeah.
It absolutely, it goes against, it was a horrible accident, but I believe it was an accident.
Yes.
Could it have been prevented? 100%.
1,000%.
Yeah. I actually I wrote the name down because she's got an Eastern European name, Halyna Hutchins. She was the gaffer on a film I did a couple years ago, To the New Girl, which is available on Amazon right now, To the New Girl. I do a monologue in it. Anyway, lovely woman, and I know she had a husband and a son, and our hearts go out to you and prayers to you. And you may not, however you feel about him, prayers to Alec Baldwin, because this is something I don't know how you come back from.
I know, I don't. And it's not like he hasn't had lots of personal bumps in his career and many of his own frickin' doing, but this isn't one of them.
So our hearts go out to that, and please, as actors, we are in solidarity with the unions and Safe Set. They were using non-union people because the union people walked out. I mean, like, again, this could be another whole show, but today's not about that. So our hearts go out to you and that accident.
Yes.
And you wanted to mention
the passing of dear Peter Scalari, an actor who most people were introduced to in Bosom Buddies.
Bosom Buddies with Tom Hanks.
With Tom Hanks, and this one just really got me in the gut.
Yeah.
I had such a crush on him back in the day. Thought he was the cutest little thing,
I know.
and so funny. And reading a lot of the tributes on Twitter and stuff like that. Just apparently the nicest man, like one of the sweetest men in Hollywood, and it just pisses me off. The good ones go so early. And F cancer for sure. But Peter and Peter's family, prayers for you and cheers and thank you for the joy, Peter. You gifted man. Thank you so much. Yes.
Pour some out on this. Don't pour it out. I want to drink it.
Right. But anyway.
So
there's the sad stuff. Should we go with our next big topic or some Halloween stuff after?
Let's go with the big topic, and then we'll end up with Halloween stuff, and that'll be the fun ending to
it. We'll lighten it up again.
So this comes down to something that we're both kind of torn about: the Chappelle series, the closer on Netflix. Again, if you don't live in LA and Hollywood, and it's not the center of your universe,
right?
There's been a lot of controversy. People at Netflix who work there have walked out.
Virtually. What does that mean? It was a virtual walkout. And so how do you virtually...
Are they working from home and they
just turn their computer off or what?
Well,
so I don't know what that means.
I guess that's what it means. Or they're like, I'm walking out.
Going
but I'm
dark
not,
today.
Yeah. I
don't know.
And there's been numerous articles written about the CEO of Netflix that he cares more about making money than he does about what's right. And I don't necessarily disagree with that. But it's a tough one, because one, is it art? We had this same discussion with Kathy Griffins, who also is doing her own, she's battling her own battle, so our hearts go out to you.
Yeah.
When she did the Trump thing with the dead Trump head. And she got canceled for that.
Right. Super canceled.
And so at the top of the show, we watched it. I wasn't going to.
We should say really quickly, the whole walkout on Netflix was about Chappelle hates transgenders. That's basically the thing.
Correct. And he addresses that in the show. The show's called The Closer.
The whole show is pretty much about the
he
LGBTQ
walks out,
community.
And in the first 2 seconds, he says, I'm crossing the line. You thought I crossed the line before? Sit down, and this is going to be my last show for a while, and I am not holding anything back. He pretty much says that at the top of the show. I don't know, I'm torn. You know, I texted her, we both, like I said, I wasn't going to watch it because so many of my friends are so deeply offended.
And
gay,
be
straight,
sure,
non-binary,
we are fierce LGBTQ allies. We have many, and I have so many black friends, that's not worth it. But we have many gay people and trans people in our lives, and we love them and support them. Absolutely.
So a lot of my friends, you know, took to the interwebs to say how disgusted, and I'm not sure how many of them watched it, and that's a point. Is it just a boycott? Because I was going to too, and not that I'm a bandwagoner. I've always been like, does he cross the line? Does he not cross the line with Dave Chappelle? I definitely have been. So we watched it. That was our homework this week. I'm going to let you go first.
Well, here's the thing. I have to admit, this is the very first Dave Chappelle special I've ever watched. I didn't watch his show. I just, for some reason or another, I'm not a person who watches comedians as a general rule. My sister does. She's all over anything comic special, she's on it. I don't. I've also never seen the Eddie Izzard, the big, what's it called?
Oh, Dressed to Kill.
Dressed to Kill. I have yet to see that, so I'm way behind the times. But that said, this is the only special I watched, and my feeling is this. Is he offensive? Abso-friggin-lutely. He goes there every single time. But I feel like the people that are offended are not, first of all, they couldn't possibly have watched it all the way through to the end, because
it kind of comes full circle.
It totally comes full circle. And also, they're not, to me, catching how loaded with irony his comedy is. I mean, he's saying things that are offensive, but then he's turning it around and saying, but this is just as offensive and we're not talking about this. You know what I mean? And I was just like, at the end of it, I was like, yeah, those are offensive jokes, but I didn't guffaw out laughing. I didn't necessarily find them particularly funny, but I just felt like you're not getting him, is kind of how I felt about it.
And I think, like you say, the satire and he's very self-deprecating too.
And says, my problem's never been with gay people, it's always been with white people.
Right, he's like, yeah, don't misunderstand me, I don't hate gay people, I hate white people.
But as a white person, I wasn't offended by anything he said about us whiteys, because it's right.
And then he made a couple like Jews in space jokes about the Jewish space lasers. So here's my thing. He doubled down. People have been talking about him, you're against trans, you're against this, you're against that. And I feel, yes, I understand that an audience, an educated audience, might understand the satire, might understand. But my fear is that he has audience members who don't get that. They just hear Dave Chappelle's out there looking for, if you have an Adam's apple, you are not a woman.
Right.
And that is where I feel like the line was crossed. And that is where I feel like it's harmful and it's not safe. I just do. I mean, there were some things that I thought, first of all, Dave Chappelle is super, super intelligent. His writing is not dumb comedy. He is not picking low-falling fruit, no pun intended. He is not picking, low-hanging fruit. He is really smart, and his writing is very smart and barbed. And again, he kind of, like Don Rickles, he would always say he makes fun of everybody and himself.
Yeah, I felt like a lot of it was very equal opportunity offensiveness going on.
And I think that's something, I remember it was something about Married with Children that Ed O'Neill always said, when people would say, oh, you make fun of fat people, he's like, we make fun of everybody. And that's kind of how I felt about the Chappelle special. But again, I feel like at some point, is he allowed to do the show? Absolutely. He could go and you could buy a ticket to his show. I have no problem with that. That is freedom of speech and that is your money doing the talking.
Right.
Does Netflix have an obligation not to perpetrate hate speech? And at some points in the show, I felt like it crossed the line to hate speech. I really do. And this is coming from as an actor, as an artist, as a comedian, and some of the jokes I tell, and boy, have I learned a lot. I mean, I think of like words I used to use without even thinking about it. Yesterday, I posted a meme that I thought was funny and harmless, and I just laughed at it. And a trans friend of mine said, I can't laugh at this, it's too transphobic. And I took it down and I apologized to them.
I missed it.
I apologized to them right away, and
they said... That happened to me last week. Sorry, they said what?
They said right away, they said I should have put in the post, I know that wasn't your intention, because I know that was not your intention.
Right.
Because we trade memes all the time, and they like a lot of what I post, and I like a lot of what they post. Anyway, so I'm still learning. It is still a learning curve, but...
Or let me just, interrupt real quick here. I posted something a couple weeks ago about how, I'm sorry, we can't be friends if you can't figure out why I seen your pictures.
Right.
And then I had all my friends of color come and say, well, aren't you privileged to be able to correctly speak a language that was created by your people anyway, and blah, blah, blah. And I learned a lot that day. I was like, sometimes you think you're just posting something that's supposed to be light and funny, and by the way, I'm still not going to date a guy who says, I seen your picture and I think you're cute. I'm not going to do that. Sorry, that's me.
Well, and I've not dated people who say irregardless. I have not dated people who spell or don't know that they're there.
Well, my thing is, if you're a white guy saying I seen your picture, there's no excuse, man. There's no excuse. There's not a school in this country that taught you that that's okay to say that. But anyway, you think it's a light, funny thing, and it turns out, and it's not that they're wrong. They're not wrong. It's like, well, we are privileged to speak the main language here was created by white folks, and so
and that we, went to school and had grammar lessons.
We're lucky to have, a good education where we didn't have to create, or like, black people coming from slavery, we didn't allow them to learn to read or write or learn our language properly. So,
correct.
blah, blah, blah. But my point was, sometimes you think it's doing something light and funny, and then it's like, no, it's way deeper than that.
And my point is, we're all still learning. But we want to hear what you have to say about this. If you've watched it, and if you refuse to, tell us why that. If you've watched it and you disagree, and you're like, come on, you guys, he's hilarious. We want to hear that, too.
Yeah. But a question I also have is, like you were saying, he's really smart, he's blah, blah, blah. I also feel like, where you said the people who maybe aren't as on top of things, maybe not as educated about the nuances of this comedy.
Exactly the nuance.
Then my feeling is, should he have to dumb it down for those people either? You know what I mean? I kind of feel like part of me is like, I get why it's offensive, but I also feel like if you watched him through the end of the show, everything comes together and kind of makes more sense. And you shouldn't, if you can't hear what he's saying in between the lines, then maybe you don't get to watch Dave Chappelle.
Or shouldn't. And the other thing on that, kind of piggybacking off of that, is, and I kind of feel this is true with him, some comedians put on their act like a costume, and they step on the stage, and he becomes that Dave Chappelle. Yeah. Where at home, he's like, because he even said, well, I don't want to give too much away if you haven't seen it, but he does something very generous for a child of somebody in the show. And I feel like that he talks about in the show, there's a storyline that he talks about. And I feel like that really might be him, that he talks a good game, and this is his barbed humor. Yeah. And that behind the scenes, he's really, I don't know.
Because he's also bringing up important points.
Absolutely.
With his comedy, and that's why I say the irony is that he's making this joke and saying, we're making this joke about this thing and we're not even noticing what's going on over here, and that's a problem. Yeah. Everybody's butthurt about this when this is going on and nobody's talking about it. And so it's like, I am torn too. A part of me was like, I absolutely understand why people would be offended in certain parts and stuff like that, but I also kind of feel like they're missing the point too. They're missing the underlying. Yeah.
So we want to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, let us know.
I'm glad I watched it because I wanted to be educated on what I was,
There's nothing worse than somebody boycotting something they haven't even looked at for themselves.
Which is, we felt very strongly about. Yeah. That's why we wanted to see it. And the last show, we both watched the Britney stuff because we wanted to be,
We want to have our ducks in a row when we talk about that. We don't want to just be...
And since we don't have...
If we're wrong, we're going to be educatedly wrong. We're going to be, like, informed wrong.
And you know what? Guess what? Like I said, I'm still learning.
Still learning.
I am still learning. I called somebody Miss Ashley in a meeting the other day, and she wrote me in the chat, please don't use gender-specific terms with me. And I'm still learning.
Dang. Okay.
I also work on a college campus, so take that as you will. But
they're woke over there.
They invented the term woke, all up in my university. Anyway, so please engage with us. Let us know how you felt. I might post a couple of the articles about it, just so you can take a look at what we're talking about. I try to do that whenever we mention something specific. I've been trying to do that. So please let us know how you feel.
Yes.
Okay. Please. That's the serious topic.
Right. Let's have some Halloween fun.
Halloween.
What did you What do you bring? What do you
So again, since
with?
This is our fourth show, how many? These many. It was tough to not duplicate stories, but I did find two new stories.
Okay.
So you know how the saying goes, through rain nor sleet nor snow or whatever, the mailman?
The post office, yeah.
So evidently...
Not so much anymore, but that's another show. Anyway, go ahead.
So evidently, mail carrier walking up the walkway up to the house, It's like, oh, this is the best Halloween display ever. Look at that dead body, like steps over the corpse to get into the house, delivers the mail.
What do I feel like I know this is coming?
Finds out that was the guy whose mail he delivered had a heart attack on his walk out to go get his paper or whatever in the morning. And nobody realized it because everybody thought it was a really great Halloween display.
That is so sad. I feel like that's going to be me. Because I'm not married, I have no children, I'm the oldest.
I feel like it's going to be, I'm going to be watching, SVU one night. And,
right.
and I have given my dog permission to eat my face if she starts. We've had this discussion.
Oh my god. See, I don't even have pickles gone. He can't have,
he
lunch.
can't eat your face.
Yeah. So I'm just like, oh man, bless his heart that nobody noticed. That's so creepy though.
And then they all thought, oh, this is such an awesome Halloween decoration.
Yikes.
God bless you, whoever, man. They didn't mention his name, but.
Yikes.
So what else? What do you have?
So I have a couple things. I thought I'd share. Speaking of offensive things, one of my own Halloween stories that I look back on now and go, what were we thinking? And then I have a couple little factoids that I want to share. So back in the day when I was in high school and stuff, one of my best friends was Asian Indian. And when you get into high school, you're kind of too old to trick or treat, or supposedly that was the deal at our house. And then we also were very religious, and so
it's Satan's holiday.
Yeah, Satan's holiday. I can talk about that note too. That's what I brought up too as well. But so the church would have like a fall festival, or we'd have
to do something different than trick or treating.
Yeah, but you can still dress up and stuff like that. And so one year I can't remember if it was a harvest party at my own house or if it was at the church, but I needed a costume and I didn't have a costume. And back in, Gen Xers' parents didn't just hand over money and say, go buy a costume. It just wasn't a thing that our parents did. So I was like, what do I do? My friend Shefali, whose parents were immigrants from India, said, well, I've got about 30 saris. Why don't you borrow one of those? And so God bless her, she puts me in her sari, she wraps me all up in it, and she goes, go to the bathroom first, because you're not going to remember how to get out of this to pee.
Yeah.
She's like, I've been doing it my whole life.
And you have to fold it all, and it's
crazy.
Like there's all these
you
folds.
are wrapped in it like a burrito.
Talk about offensive. I used to wear them in high school, too.
Well, the thing is, she put a bindi on my forehead, she braided my hair, but she did the whole thing for me. And now I think back, and I felt so beautiful because, honestly, I think
gorgeous.
Indian women are the most beautiful in the
and
world.
I think saris are gorgeous.
So gorgeous. I always loved their decor, how decadent it is. And so I felt so beautiful that day. And now I think back and I look at it and I go, oh my God, I was accidentally culturally appropriating with help from my Indian friend.
I think that's okay because she helped you do it.
Yeah, and we didn't, at the time, that wasn't a thing. That wasn't even a phrase. It wasn't, plenty of people were dressed up as Michael Jackson at the time.
I think
it's like
gone. I mean, I honestly think that's gone a little bit too far. I mean, if that's your opinion and that's how you feel, then I respect that.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I mean,
it's hard to say, like, where does it end? It's like, you're dressed as a cowboy. You're not a real cowboy. Okay.
Right.
What,
or
really?
You shouldn't wear out that Hawaiian
I'm not
shirt.
a real witch.
Right.
Why am I wearing this hat? It's like, not that witches wear hats like these, actually.
Yeah.
That's for Karen.
We know don't. Yeah.
Not the Karens, but our friend Karen, who is Wiccan.
In fact, I don't think I've ever seen one of my Wiccan friends with that pointy hat, or even own a cat. No, I take that back. Isn't Lisa Soto Wiccan, and she has cats?
She has cats. Yeah. Yes.
Anyway, so yeah.
I've definitely never seen anyone fly on a broom.
So one of my favorite costumes I ever did was a Genie costume with the long black hair, and I did the dot, and I did the jingly. Yeah, I know. Mm-hmm. When you think about it. And like I said, I used to wear saris in high school all the time, and dashikis, like African. Mm-hmm. Sorry, I just dig the clothes, and they make it much better for fat girls.
Yeah,
other cultures make it so pretty for fat women.
That's true.
Okay,
that's true.
So I have one more story, which I guess mine aren't as fun as yours. Little boy, 1974, Texas. Mm-hmm. Parents' worst nightmare, goes trick or treating. And dies from poison candy. When we were kids, well, you didn't trick or treat, but my parents would comb through
Oh, I
it.
did.
Well, you did.
It wasn't until later we had to fight for our little brother and sister to be able to go. We were like, nope.
So, parents used to comb through everything. I hope you still do. To get razor blades and apples, and you know, there's going to be hypodermic needles in the good and plenty, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and now we have to wash it all off because of COVID.
Right. Well, and my parents, come to find out, they weren't checking for razor blades. They were taking all the candy they liked before we got a chance at it.
Oh, I watched my parents with a hawk eye, except my sugar tooth is don't mess with me.
So, little boy dies of poison candy. So, police investigate all the neighbors. They trace it. It was his father. His father poisoned his own son to get the insurance money. How's that for a freaky Halloween story?
What is wrong with people? I'm like, sometimes I think about that when I'm typing 2020 because I transcribe the news, and I think, here's a person who has never had so much as a speeding ticket in their entire life, and then they just up and kill their spouse. Right. And like, they're suddenly a murderer. And I'm like,
John was a good man.
Right?
Until he wasn't.
How do you go from 0 to 90 like that?
My neighbor John was just such a nice guy. I never would have noticed that he kept bodies in the basement. I'm just so shocked.
No, I just don't understand. He was kept to himself. Well, now we know why. But it's like, how? Your own child.
Well, and that's the thing too. When like spouses who are fighting, and then the person goes back and kills the wife and all the kids. I'm like, what the ever living f? Yeah. There's divorce court for that,
right? Like, why do you have to leave them? Oh, why you gotta kill everybody? It makes no sense. I don't understand. Jesus help me. I don't understand.
So my stories were not fun Halloween stories. I apologize.
That's okay. They were creepy as hell.
Yes,
and
there you go.
Don't kill your kids for.
So yeah, don't kill your kids, and if you think that a Halloween display looks really cool, just make sure that it's not a real rotting corpse.
You happen upon a corpse, make sure it's not a real one.
What else you got?
So I wrote down a few popular Halloween costumes from certain years.
Oh, very cool.
The most popular
That's a great idea.
for that year. So the year you were born, 1966, right? Sorry, we're giving it away.
I'm 55. I would kick, but I can't kick. I can move my arms.
I'm 51. I can still kick, but I can't straight. Anyway, so 1966, Barbie was the most popular costume. 1970, when I was born, I saw a few different lists. And so this was a toss-up between Elvis, which was kind of surprising to me. It was probably Fat Elvis by then, 1970.
Right.
Or the Beatles. And I was like, that would be super cute, little kids.
Yeah. But and I'm thinking Barbie too. They were those plastic masks that you put over your face and you couldn't breathe, and they smelled funky.
Right. I was just thinking about those. It's like they have the eye holes and the mouth holes, but good Lord, you took it off at the end of the night and you were just wet.
And you couldn't really see. But I'm sure the Beatles ones were like this, and then the front that looked like an apron, but just Oh, sorry, I just scratched you with my talons.
That's okay. So in 1983, when you graduated high school, toss up between the crew from the Ghostbusters or Madonna.
Yeah,
lots of Madonnas.
A lot of Madonnas with the pointy boobs and the tutu skirts.
And the lace and all that stuff. 1988, when I graduated, toss up between, now I thought this was, Beetlejuice doesn't surprise me. It was a huge movie that year.
People still, I'm surprised you still see so many Beetlejuices.
Yeah, and I hated that movie at the time. I need to go back and rewatch.
I love that movie, actually. So.
I know, I didn't, but I was also a very different person back then, so I need to revisit. But also a toss-up between that and Garfield, which I thought was that's definitely a plastic costume. 2001, I specifically looked 2001 because that was only a month after 9/11, right? And I was like, I don't remember anybody Halloweening that year, but so apparently toss up between Harry, Hermione, the kids from Harry Potter.
All the Harry Potter stuff.
And Josie and the Pussycats.
Because they did a live action.
They did that remake, which upset me because I'm original Josie.
Me too. And then Gem and the Holograms too.
Oh, not me for that. I don't know what. I think that was my little sister's era more, but
I'm old.
Okay, next,
Those
I
are
looked
great.
up 2020 because we were all on the lockdown, and apparently Harley Quinn was the big thing.
Daddy's little monster.
And Cobra Kai. Lots of folks were, dressing up as, martial artists. And then this year, the highest searches going on right now are Squid Game contestants, which would be super easy, and then Mandalorian is what we can expect to see this year.
Okay.
So
we want pictures. Show us pictures of your Halloween costumes or your kids' Halloween costumes or fall decor.
Yes. Do you have a costume plan? We're going to a very teeny tiny encapsulated.
Like 20 people. Not even.
Yeah,
I think
not
15
even.
people.
Yeah, our little pod, all vaccinated. We're doing a teeny tiny little thing.
I do have one.
You do?
I do.
You always do. I'm terrible. I'll probably look exactly like this if I'm even feeling the need to put any makeup on. So we'll see.
I do have one.
I'm so excited to see. The interesting thing is not so much at Halloween, but certainly when we do our Oscar parties, a lot of times we'll have to check in into what are you going as? Because it's usually the same thing.
That's what I'm going as.
Yeah, but interestingly, some years we're like 1 year we did Bridesmaids, you were one Melissa McCarthy, and then I was a different Melissa McCarthy from the movie, so that kind of worked out. And then we
did Kim, what's her face? The one from...
Oh, yes! Kim, what was her name? Kim. Oh, my God. The lady who wouldn't marry the gay people in Kentucky.
Wouldn't give them, wouldn't okay their licenses.
Yes.
So she went as... She's like, are you going? I'm like, yes, I am. But I'm going as sexy her.
Yeah.
So I wore my cleavage down to here, and so we went as Kim whatever, and we'll try and find some of these pictures.
I tried to put them up on the Instagram. I only found the one where we were both the ladies from Glow and put that up.
Gorgeous ladies of wrestling.
Which
that was fun.
We nailed that.
Matilda the Hun. And
when I say we, I mean her, because she supplied all the stuff. And I just put it on.
And it's so funny because two friends of mine just randomly, two separate friends who don't even know each other and are not part of this circle, when I was explaining my Halloween obsession and the costume that I'm making, they were like, there has to be a job for you to do that.
There has to be.
There has to be a job, even if you don't create it, that you just come up with these Halloween costumes and then somebody
wardrobe
else. Wardrobe. That is our Halloween show.
Yes, thank you guys for watching.
Instead of having separate things we love, we're just going to say we love spooky season.
Yes,
absolutely. We just love Halloween. We love this year getting to spend it, even though it's a tiny little group, but we're happy that we get to do that.
Yes.
And we want all of you, show us pictures. We want pictures. We want to hear what you think about Chappelle. And we, more than anything, we want you to stay safe, stay sane.
And healthy and hopeful.
Cheers, everybody. Happy Halloween.